Hello everybody, Luigi Fanquato1 here, and if you've seen the first part of this series where I rank every single plant, you'll know that we have to rank all the zombies too. So it's time for part 2, ranking every single zombie plush in my collection. But before we begin, for any newcomers, here are the rules. We're going to be ranking the zombies from S through F, in case you've never seen a tier chart video before, and the zombies will be judged based on their designs, how they look to their in-game counterparts, in general if I like the plush's design, or if I like the character design, and also if I like the zombie in-game, that's probably going to affect their rating. Not all the zombies are going to be accurate to their in-game designs, but in some cases if I like their plush counterpart more, that'll impact their ranking, but a lot of the time it probably won't. Unlike the plants, the zombies will be going in no particular order. And hey, at the end of the day, this is just my opinion. Let me know what you think. I always love hearing what you guys gotta say. Also remember to leave a like and don't forget to subscribe for future content. And without further ado, ready, set, we're gonna start things off with the Sega Prize Europe Sun Zombie. It's a zombie in disguise and is not seen in-game, but still pretty cute at the end of the day. I like how the zombie's head can come off via this little bit of Velcro and the string inside of the zombie's body. Compared to other zombies, this one looks okay. Not my favorite, but still relatively fine. Split with this one, do I go with B or C? I'm feeling generous. I'm gonna give Sunny a B.
Thanks.
Next we have the Egg Pusher Imp Zombie from Link Sin 2. The only real complaint I have are the eyes, honestly. The eyes are the wrong color, but other than that minor little hiccup, I think the plush is fine. Not really a fan of how the body just looks. It just looks kind of bizarre, but I do think the dino costume is pretty cute, and I do like seeing plush of the different imps. B tier.
Thanks.
Next is the Breakdancer Zombie, and aside from the lack of detail on like the shoes and the sleeves, I'd say this one looks pretty nice. In general, Link Sin 2 did really good with this one. How he looks, fine. Could use a little more detail, but still pretty good. B for Boogie.
Thanks.
Next is the Bandit Zombie, better known on the channel as Sam Sneak. I really do like Sam Sneak's design here. I wish the Bandit Zombie were included in PvZ2, and not just in the China edition of the game. Regardless, Sam Sneak looks good. I love his expression too. He's always like, "Wait a minute, Sam Sneak knows what you're up to. He has your search history. Oh yeah, Sam Sneak." I like the little hood he's got too. It's really cute, and the little bandit sack is nice. Sam Sneak is a really good plush. Nope. Sam Sneak stole the S tier. Next is the Eggshell Imp. The Eggshell Imp is a zombie similar to the Egg Pusher Zombie, where it's another imp but dressed in a crazy looking costume. This one I feel does it a little bit worse than the Dino Egg Pusher. He looks decent, I guess, but I feel like they could have done a little more with the zombie, and I wish the egg's shell would actually fit, like be a little bigger so it would be a complete egg. Otherwise, he alright. I'm gonna give him a C tier, but it's a pretty high C tier, so hold your head up high. Here is Chili, also known as the Ice Skater Zombie, who is based off of fan art of all things, and if we're judging based on the fan art, then he's an okay design in general, but like the skates are the wrong color, the jacket's kind of and where the heck are his gloves? Chili's always been kind of okay to me on the channel, hasn't really done a whole lot except for his thing for skating, and I don't know, he just doesn't really do it for me. Like when I pick the zombies, he's always kind of an afterthought, if I'm being honest. Like he's just kind of there. I don't dislike Chili, I just feel like there isn't much to the imagination with him, unlike, say, zombies like Norm or Buckethead. Chili's going to get a C. Next is the Pompadour Zombie. I've never really been a fan of this one's design. There's a few minor hiccups with the design, like with how his shirt looks and how he's missing a stripe on his shorts. His forehead only has a single wrinkle, and of course his hair is the wrong color. The way the fabric looks, he's just kind of off. Something about him is just different to me. He looks like he was kind of rushed compared to some of the other zombies. And I don't know, Link Sin 2 made some other really good looking zombies, so I don't know what Pompadour's deal is. D. Next is this bootlegged balloon zombie from Mexico, and if I'm being honest, it looks really good. The hat has the correct colors, all the detail is here except for the little belt around his waist. The balloon is stuck to his head as opposed to his in-game artwork where he's flying on the balloon, but I understand why they did that, so that way the balloon doesn't flop around him like a fish, so I'll give it a slight pass, and he still gets a really high ranking because he looks really good. A tier. Here we have the one and only basic zombie, or normal zombie, or norm for those of you who've seen Plants vs. Zombies plush, which should be a lot of you if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I know, there's a few hiccups with the plush, like there's no stripes on his tie, there's no rips on the sleeves, the eyes are both the same, but honestly, he looks really good otherwise. Yeah, he also doesn't have any hair on his head, but for what they did, he still looks really solid, and he still looks like he came straight out of Plants vs. Zombies. You think of Plants vs. Zombies plush and you'll think of this dude likely, so I'm still going to give him a high ranking even though he does have a few inaccuracies. If we're talking about norm, we're also going to discuss the E's as well. Not exactly one for ones though of their giant zombie counterparts. Their buttons are different, and their face tends to have a lower quality than that of the larger zombie, which is going to knock down their score a little bit. In contrast, here's Big Daddy Long John's, a bootleg plush. He is not made by Linkson, he's a bootleg. He has a wooden button on his shirt instead of a plastic one. Otherwise, he's got all the same features as norm, but he's Big Daddy Long John, so of course he's not going to get a high ranking, like, come on. Norm gets an A. Pains me to do this, but the E's are going to get C's. Big Daddy Long John's is going to get a C. Next is the Linkson 2 Red Boy Imp Zombie, and I am not a fan of this one. Aside from there being little fuzzy balls on his head instead of bells, his staff being colored gray instead of brown, in general, I just never liked how this dude looked. He's always looked so off to me. Like, the way how his face looks, the way how the clothes barely cover up his tushy. He's always been kind of in terms of the zombies, and even for an imp, he just does not do it for me.
Whoa, so you like to dance, hey? Well, you'll be dancing around the fire and flames enough once you've received an F!
Next is the Cavalry Zombie by Linkson 2, aka Factor. In general, I think he's pretty solid. I mean, sure, his lance is a little floppy and it's also not really that long, and I think it's supposed to be silver instead of white. But to be honest, the fact that he's a zombie knight already boosts him up by quite a few points. Sure, he's gonna get knocked a few points for a few design inaccuracies, but to be honest, I really do love this dude's design. The boots are nice, the shirt's nice to indicate that he's not exactly the wealthiest of zombies, but he's still solid as a high-ranking officer. He just looks good. A tier. And now for the Linkson Ducky Tube Zombie, or Duck Tube. The one and only Duck Tube. To be honest, out of all of the zombies, this one's one of my favorites from the first few waves. Sure, he's got blue shorts instead of blue pants, but honestly, it's not really that big of a deal to me. Aside from the few minor hiccups like the tie and the patch being missing, he's solid, and the way that they got him inside of the little Ducky Tube looks really good. He's just an iconic looking plush. And let's also talk about the Linkson Small E variant to the Duck Tube Zombie. Unlike most of the E's, this one still retains a good level of quality. The duck looks a little strange, but other than that, he looks really nice and matches the exact design and even the same fabrics as the larger duck tube, so nice job. Duck tube swims his way right into the S tier, and the little duck tube too. Here is the Linkson 2 Mummy. Looks really off compared to many of the other zombies in my opinion, just the way how he's designed. I do like how his neck protrudes out a little bit though, makes him look more like one of the mummy zombies from the game. Although, where the heck is his tie? And why are his bandages so clean? Like, he's supposed to be a zombie, I would expect more rotting bandages than this. I've also never understood what this little string is on the top of his head. To be fair, he looks fine. I mean, he's not the worst plush I've ever seen, and I can definitely imagine them doing worse. And how could they do worse? The answer is this bootleg mummy zombie from Mexico. The way how the bandages look, they're all tangled up, sure, but the way how it's done is really messy, and they tend to get tangled up even when he's not being used for videos, or even when he's just sitting on the shelf. I always have to wrap up the bandages, and it never looks as good as it once was. He looks more like a zombie that got into the office supply closet and found some toilet paper and called it a day. Also, he can moon you, so that's nice, but it's not gonna save you. The Mummy Trio have enough unique features to garner themselves a C.
Well, Mr. Mummy, once you get your grade, you're going to want to wrap yourself up in more bandages when you realize they've given you an F!
Next on the list is the Linkson Buckethead Mummy. This was the first Buckethead plush, if I'm not mistaken, and in general, he looks really nice. The bandages are kind of 50-50, but I like the little rips in his arms and on his legs. I think they really add a lot of detail to the plush. I love the design of the bucket itself. It really does look like an ancient ceramic from Egypt. He's really unique, and there aren't any other zombies quite like him with the fangs and the red eyes. He just looks really nice. Definitely a standout zombie from the rest of the pack. A tier. Next is the Dolphin Rider zombie, aka Captain George and Kevin from Link's Inn 2. Honestly, my main issue with this plush is the dolphin. It's way too small, and I can't imagine him ever riding his dolphin in any scenario when the dolphin is way too small. Although I do like the face for the Dolphin Rider zombie, it's one of a kind. You aren't going to see another zombie quite like this one. And I do like the wetsuit design as well. I just wish the dolphin was a little larger. And I really wish there was more detail on his outfit. It's mainly the dolphin that gets me. He's not a dolphin rider, he's a dolphin thrower, and that's why he shoots dolphins in the show, but also because in general, I don't know, he just doesn't really do it for me. Even though he does fumble the ball a bit, I'm gonna give Captain George a C. Next is the base zombie by Link's Inn 2, also known on the channel as Muggalo, but when comparing him to the base zombie, he just looks so nothing. Like, he doesn't really look the part, and if not for his voice, you would think he's just a clown, because you wouldn't be able to tell he's a rocker aside from maybe the jacket, but I don't know. Why is he wearing a tie? Where are the studs on his jacket? And his shoes aren't even the right color. I don't know. All the charm and personality was sucked out of this one. Like, I'll give him points for having some unique features, but otherwise he's just bleh. And his E counterpart isn't really doing him any favors. In fact, he looks worse. Muggalo gets a D from me.
Small, but graded all the same, and your grade is an F!
Next is a bootleg screen door zombie from Mexico, and this is gonna trigger a few people in the comments, but I do not like this guy. Yes, he looks accurate, and yes, he looks fine, but this is my list, and I say I don't like this dude. And why is that? The screen door itself. It's made out of foam, and it's very bendy and very floppy, and if you don't protect these guys, they're going to get damaged. He looks fine, but again, it's this stupid door, just the way how it looks, how fragile it is. It means you can't really use these guys in videos, you can't really display them all that much because they can't really sit well with those big old screen doors in the way. They just don't really do it for me. I'm not going to give them too bad of a ranking because they look really good. It's just the screen door itself could have been so much better. I'm going to be giving the screen door zombie a C. We're going to go over both sprinters / pole vaulting zombies, starting with this one by Link's Inn 2. Honestly, the detail looks really good on the plush. I just wish he came with his little pole vaulting stick. I'm not a fan of the little cuffs and how they constantly slide up and down on the plush itself. And his eyes look a little derpy for me, like even more so than your average zombie. But at least the eyes are different sizes, unlike a zombie like, say, Norm. So at least he looks good in that regard. He's just not my personal favorite, but still good. This is the Sprinter zombie from Sega Prize Europe. Really like this dude's design. I like his giant head, like the Sun zombie, how you can take off his head via Velcro. The level of detail on him just looks really, really good. According to my research, he's based off of a promotional zombie, which is interesting. It also explains why he doesn't have his pole vaulting stick, so I'll give him a pass as opposed to his brother who doesn't. The pole vaulter zombie gets an A. Sprinter rightfully gets an S. Next is the Genie zombie by Link's Inn 2, better known on the channel as the zombie that moves his head. And if you compare him to his in-game model, yeah, you can barely tell them apart. Like, they have a few things that make them similar, like the jacket, the pants, the face, and the earrings, but the zombie he's based on is much bigger than the zombie that moves his head. But I'm going to give this zombie a slight pass, if not for what he's done for the channel. He's been one of the most oddball zombies I've ever seen, and even though, yeah, his design isn't accurate to his in-game counterpart, I'm still going to give him a slight pass for the design because he still looks really nice. Even if he doesn't look as accurate, he still looks good, so I'm still going to give him a decent ranking. The zombie that moves his head gets a B, but it's a very low B.
Thanks.
Next is the Gargantuar Pirate by Link's Inn 2, and oh boy, this one's got a lot of problems. First off, how is it a Gargantuar when other zombies are taller than him? It's just, that's always been a big thing for me. And there's also other things as well, like him not having an imp despite being a Gargantuar, the only Gargantuar plush I believe to not actually have an imp. He also has a beanie instead of a bandana, indicating that, at least to me, he's not a traditional Gargantuar. He's maybe like a Gargantuar in training, I guess? I don't know. And again, my main issue is he's much smaller than the average zombie. Like, how can you be called a Gargantuar if you are tinier than an average zombie? Like, wow.
So, Cabin Boy Birdie, despite being small, you claim to be strong where it counts. Let's see how strong you are when I give you your F!
Next is the Link's Inn Dancing Zombie. I'm not sure why he has a guitar, but I kinda like it. Guitar Guy on the channel hasn't been a favorite zombie of mine. Like, he's okay. Like, I know he exists. He's been around since, like, what, episode 11? Sure, but honestly, Guitar Guy was always one of my least favorite zombies when working with him, and honestly, his design just doesn't really do it for me, unlike Disco or Retro. So, I still think he's fine, but he's just not my favorite. Guitar Guy gets a C. Next is the Link's Inn 2 Beach Flag Zombie, or on the channel, he's known as Flagman. And yeah, he's got a lot of design inaccuracies, if you want my opinion, but at the same time, he still looks unique to me. He still has a unique design that makes him stand out from the rest of the zombies. I also love the little flag he carries as well. It sure would be nice if it had a little Brains logo on the side of it. Other than that, and aside from a few minor hiccups like his shirt not really looking that great and the stripe not looking that great, he's able to stand really well on his own to the point where he's able to get out of the lower tiers. Flagman gets a B. Next is the Think Geek Solutions / Treehouse Brands Yeti, one of my favorite plush of the group. He is just solid across the board. I love how fluffy this dude is. I just love the way how his face looks, how spooky he looks. I like how his mouth can open up a little bit actually, and in general he's just almost perfect, aside from maybe like his claws needing to be a little more ferocious. Other than that, he is just solid. I really like this dude. Yeti's going to get an S. Got a trio of football zombies here. This one was a basic zombie from Lintzen, but we transformed him into a football zombie using a Build-A-Bear costume, and I think he turned out really well. Sure, he doesn't have the little skull up here on the side of the helmet, and he's got little markings on the sides of the shirt too, but from what we had at the time, I'd say he looks pretty fine. I wouldn't say he's the most accurate, but he definitely looks like a football zombie. Here is a bootleg football zombie from Mexico. What I like about this plush in particular is the little padding in the shoulders. It really makes him stand out and makes him feel like he's ready to play some football. I like the little skull on his shirt too, and in general I also like the material used for the helmet. It actually fits for the plush and it looks solid. The head is also a different material as well for some reason, which I find to be particularly interesting, as even on the quote-unquote Giga Football zombie, the material is not the same as it is for this All-Star zombie. Other than the lack of shoulder pads and the pants being too short, this one looks really good. The same can't be said though for the Giga Football zombie, who's just in a worser quality overall. The suction cup's not there unlike the regular football zombie. The helmet is very easy to take off, as you can see here. There was a lack of care, lack of design with this one. And I mean, like, his shoulder pads still aren't there. The pants are a little longer, but other than that, he's just bleh. This is supposed to be the Giga Football zombie. He looks like a water boy who went to Spirit Halloween and thought it'd be cool to dress up in all black for the season. Like, nah. I'm gonna give Jockey a B. A tier. Giga Football Zombie, if you can even call him that, gets a D. Wow. Next is the Lintzen 2 Kung Fu World Conehead Zombie plush. Not really a fan of this one either. First off, if he's supposed to be from the Kung Fu world, then where the heck is his ponytail? Look at Gong here, he's got the ponytail, so why does the Conehead Zombie not have one? Design of this zombie, he looks like a burrito, just the way how the armor looks on the plush. He just looks like a round, roly barrel, hence his name being Roly in the first place on the show. And he's also missing his chest hair, he's also missing his beard too. I wish he had the beard. I don't know, he just doesn't do it for me. He just does not fit the mold. He looks unique, I'll give him that much, but he just isn't my favorite. The Conehead Roly guy gets a D. Wow. Next is the Lintzen Pirate Zombie. Like with Buckethead, this one is really unique in terms of the green skin, the way how the eye patch looks, and the way how the clothing looks in general. I like how the boots look and how they look more like a cowboy zombie than a pirate, but they still do fit the mold. He looks fine. He looks like a zombie that got seasick or something like that, but I honestly prefer the bootleg's design a little more over the Lintzen plush. The bootleg zombie here actually does look like the Buccaneer zombies from Pirate Seas. I think it's mainly the bandana and how it looks on the zombie, making him look more piratey, and how he looks more like he was straight out of Plants vs. Zombies 2. Does give the pirate zombie some bonus points though, because he is more original, but if I like the bootleg over the original, then there's a problem. I do like the uniqueness of this zombie, and I like the felt material used for the body. So he's not going to get too low of a ranking, but I still like the bootleg zombie over this one. Pirate zombie gets a C. Surprisingly, the pirate guy gets a B. Next is the Neon Zombie by Lintzen 2. Honestly, I really love the design of this guy. I love the clothing in general. I love the fake denim jacket. He looks like he's going to be on Footloose or something as a background character or something like that. The only thing I don't like is that in-game he does have facial hair and this one doesn't. And then the hair is black as opposed to his in-game model, which is brown. But honestly, I think the black hair suits him a little more. I think he looks really good regardless of the inaccuracies. I'm going to give him a pretty high rank because I still like how he turned out, and in general just how the design looks. The Neon Zombie gets an A. Here is the Talisman Zombie by Lintzen 2, also known on the channel as Noodles. Now, contrary to popular belief, I really do like Noodles. I like his design, I like his little goatee, I love the clothing and how unique he looks compared to most of the other zombies. Love the ponytail in the back, love his headgear. In general, he is a very solid plush. I actually really like the material used for his clothes. It feels more like a pillow to me. I also find it interesting how he's from the Plants vs. Zombies Great Wall Edition, actually. Anyway, Noodles may be a punching bag in the show, but he's gonna get a high rank from me. Split between A and B for Noodles, but let's give him a W. A. Next is the Linkson 2 Jester Zombie, better known as Whackerjack, and I really do like this guy's design, just how he looks in general, how colorful he is. Yeah, he's a little too colorful for a zombie, but in my opinion it adds to his charm, makes him more spontaneous, and just the way how he looks. I always love voicing Whackerjack. I mean, yeah, his pant leg isn't correct, and he doesn't have any buttons on his shirt, but I don't really think it hinders his score that much. Jester Zombie gets an S. Next is the Linkson 2 Surfer Zombie, which has a really unique design. I like how he looks, I like the shorts. I'm not really a fan of how the feet are a different material from the rest of his body. It's like they're supposed to be like shoes or something, but they're not. He's barefoot when riding on a surfboard. I also like how the surfboard is actually proportionate, like how he could actually ride the surfboard if you detached it from his hands. And I also really like his long sandy hair too. Surfer Zombie gets an A. Next is this bootlegged wizard zombie from Mexico, and talk about a presentation, just the way he looks. He looks like the type of dude who would yell, "You shall not pass!" And yeah, I know he's missing a few things, like the little bands on his sleeves, and the way how his robe looks. It's missing all the little seams sticking out on the side, and his shoes are non-existent. But honestly, he still gets the job done really well, and those minor hiccups don't really alter the plush from being a very high-ranked zombie. He just looks really good. Like, he's got the color down pat, just the way how he looks, he's just really nice, especially for a bootleg. Behold the wizard! Here's a fan favorite, the Linkson Newspaper Zombie plush. He's been on the channel for quite some time now, but he does have a few inaccuracies, like where is his hair? Why is he bald? Where's his hair? Also, his pants are the wrong color too, as opposed to the little heart pants he wears in-game. Honestly, I kinda like the stripes a little more. I wish his newspaper also had some more detail on it instead of just a bunch of little squiggly lines. Also, his tie is incorrectly colored. One of my favorite designs, honestly, but his inaccuracies do knock him down a little bit. Should I be giving newspaper an A? No. Does he deserve one? Yes. This bootlegged newspaper zombie tried to do justice, but really the only thing they did right were the pants, and even then they're the wrong colors. The newspaper is even worse because it's more flimsy and it's got little zigzag lines now. The way how the hair looks, they're just sideburns, so he looks like a weird Danny DeVito looking dude. And the way the glasses are, they're just so flimsy. Like, this is one of the worst bootlegs I've seen of the group. Just how he looks, it's just like glasses feel like an afterthought. It's just bleh. Just so bleh.
Tell me, do you know what letter the word fake starts with?
Gee, I don't know.
Let me give you a refresher. It starts with an F!
Next is the Archmage Zombie from Linkson 2, also known as Dark Wizard, and to be honest, they fumbled the ball with this one. The way how his original design looks in game just looks so friggin' cool, and what did they do with this guy? Next to nothing. The only good things about him are his eyebrows and little goatee, but even then, they're not really in an angry formation the way how they look in game. And his staff is probably the worst case example of this. Like, there's no detail in this little stick. Meanwhile, his design in game has this really cool looking orb inside, and just the level of detail on his book, and he has a chain around his neck. He looks really cool. And why do you have pink shoes? God, they really fumbled the ball with this guy. Like, they really, really did. I'm sorry. Like, I still like this dude on the channel. He's definitely one of the sillier characters, but I'm sorry. He just doesn't get a good rank from me. Ugh, D tier. Here is a bootleg dancing zombie based off the OG dancing zombie. This is the bootleg from Mexico, before he got removed due to the estate of Michael Jackson objecting his inclusion in the game due to the close resemblance to Michael. In general, this plush looks really nice, especially for a bootleg. My only issues are the lack of stripes on the side, and in general, how the plush looks more like Disco Zombie more so than the OG dancing zombie. Although I also like the little details like the singular white glove too, so still really solid. OG dancing zombie gets a B. Next is the Jazzwares talking zombie, who looks really, really good. They got everything right. They got the stripes on the tie, they got the right colored eyes, they got the ripped pants, and I like the little sound effects he makes too. The only thing I don't like is he's missing the little hairs on his head, but honestly, it doesn't really matter to me. Talking zombie gets an S. Next is the Linkson 2 Gong Zombie. My main complaint is the lack of mustache. Like, where is his mustache? The way how the Gong looks, it looks fine. Maybe a little too fine, actually. I mean, if he's supposed to be a zombie, shouldn't this thing be, like, chipped or something? And also, he's missing his shoulder pads, too, but otherwise, Gong is middle of the road. Very alright. Just a zombie. And his bored expression says it all. I'm gonna be giving Gong a C. Next is this weird golfer zombie from Daphne's Head Covers, and honestly, I'm not sure where to rank this guy. Like, he's not really a plush, he's a golf club holder. I don't know, just the way how he looks. He's got a really nice design though, is the thing. I really love the checkered pattern of his shirt, and I like the little hat too. Where's the joke? And the way how his eyes look, I like the eyelids. I like how he actually has gums, unlike many of the other zombies, but he doesn't have any legs, and you can put your hand inside to operate him and stuff, and aside from the lack of legs, he's good. He's good. Yay, there's a joke. Shouldn't give you this ranking, but Caddyshack here gets an S. Next is the Witch Zombie from Lynx & 2, which is based off of the artwork by Plenilune Fox, and was meant to look like the Plants vs. Zombies art style. Honestly, if you told me this was a witch, I would have told you this was a reject from Hogwarts or something, just the way how the zombie looks. A very unappealing design with a very weird looking mouth. I don't like the bob cut. I don't like the blue robes either. I think they should be more purple-like. Doesn't really look like a witch, and it looks more like a magician to me. The pointed shoes are fine, but that's really the only thing about the plush that I like. And again, the E version isn't doing it any favors with an even lighter blue shade, trying to make it look more like a wizard than a witch. And this one doesn't even have the tie, so bleh.
You thought you were going to get a D for your name, eh? Well, see if you can cast a spell out of getting a higher grade, because for right now, you have an F!
Next is the Snorkeler Zombie, and honestly, this one looks almost perfect. There's only two minor hiccups I can say about this bootleg plush, one being the lack of strings on his trunks, and the other being on his scuba mask. The mask is flipped the wrong way, but other than that, he looks perfect. Love the little water wings, I love the design on his top, I like his little flipper. I also really like the design of the mask itself and just how it looks like he's been through quite a lot before he died. The snorkel itself looks fine, he's just really solid. Much better than my poor attempt. We took a large bootleg zombie and we tried to make him into a snorkeler zombie using a Build-A-Bear snorkeler's outfit. We even have one little flipper. Sometimes there's two, sometimes there's one, and at least he looks like a snorkeler zombie, but he just doesn't fit the bill compared to the bootleg one. The bootleg one just looks so much better. Congrats, Snorkeler. You've earned yourself an S.
Your grades are like whales, Snorkeler. They're below sea level. And speaking of the sea level, you've sunken down to an F!
The bootleggers made a Buckethead zombie who looks pretty nice. I'm not really a fan of the material used for the bucket itself. I like how the string comes off, but you can't take off the bucket. It's like the bucket is sewn right onto his head, and I'm glad that that's the case. I don't want it going flying off and having the bucket potentially get lost. I like the detail on the inside with the little red tie and how it's not just painted on. The hands are a little big, but other than that, he's still pretty dang good, especially for a bootleg. Buckethead zombie gets a B. Here's a bootleg scientist zombie, and it's got a lot of flaws, but they did get some things right. The lab coat's the correct color, they got the right colored tie, and they got the hair right, and they got a white lab coat. But then come the problems. Why is he wearing the regular zombie pants? Why are his shoes like that? Why does he have two shoes? He should only have one shoe. Where are his goggles? Why does his mouth look like a regular zombie? Where are the little pockets? Where are the buttons? Just so many problems. And again, if you told me this was the scientist zombie, I would probably believe you, but I wouldn't think it's the one from Garden Warfare, so I'll give him a D, but it's kind of a low D. Next is the Lynx & 2 Punk Zomboss plush, and oh boy, we've got a big can of worms. First off, not a fan of how the mic is stuck to his mouth. Why couldn't they have the mic be more free so he could like sing into it? I mean, I get why they did this, but it just looks really stupid. And also, I'm not really a fan of how they gave him this leather shirt. I mean, it looks fine as it is, but when you look at his official design, it just does not look good. Like, where's his spiked belt? Why is he not wearing a shirt underneath? I can't even move it because the material's so stiff. The way how it looks, there's just not much detail put into the plush, and the bands aren't really all that great either. He's not wearing an undershirt. You can't really tell he's got a unibrow, and it looks like he's just wearing a giant black garbage bag rather than wearing a punk outfit. Sure, I'm happy it's a Zomboss plush, but at what cost? Especially when a better option exists. D. Next on the list is the Lynx & Disco Zombie, and there are a few hiccups about this guy, like the lack of glasses for one, the necklace being incorrect, the button being, well, different, how he's not supposed to have a button, and also his shoes and how they're not blue with little ice blocks in them with fish. Other than that though, he still looks like a disco zombie. He still looks the part really well, so I can't knock him off as many points as I'd like, but I'm still gonna knock him down a few. As for the Jazzwares version, I'm not really a big fan of how big his head is and how it's as big as his body. It really makes him wobble around. But they did hit all the right notes with the necklace, the way how the platform shoes look, how they actually look like platform shoes, like the glasses as a whole. The afro is okay, but honestly, they did pretty dang good with this guy. Disco bookies his way into the A tier. The Jazzwares Disco Zombie gets an S. Check out the Gargantuars, starting with the Pirate Seas Gargantuar. Sure, there's a few minor hiccups here, like not having a tattoo on his arm, and the way the cannon looks on the back and how it's not actually a cannon, and how the shark looks, and the shark has its innards coming out? I don't know. But other than that though, the way how the Gargantuar's face looks with the earring, even the imp having an earring too, looks solid, and aside from the few minor tweaks, he still looks really nice, especially for a bootleg, looks really good. A tier. Next is this bootlegged Halloween Gargantuar, who also looks pretty nice across the board. Not really a fan of how the imp's dress looks. It looks like a burlap sack more so than a dress. You can also tell where the stitching was on the face, where they were supposed to change the color of the zombie, but they didn't. I'm also not a fan of how the weapon is stuck to his body. This is something exclusive to this plush and not to any of the other Gargantuars, and I'm not sure why that is. But otherwise it looks pretty good across the board. B tier. Next is this Buckethead zombie from Sakame, who looks almost perfect. The way how he looks, I like the detail on the tie, the outfit, the way the bucket looks, the way the proportions look on the face, the way how the pants are all torn up, the way how everything just looks. I've got no complaints with this guy. He looks really good. I mean, again, there's no hair on the top of the zombie's head, but he's got a bucket, so I'll give him a pass. And again, he just looks really good. Buckethead gets a solid S. Next on the list is the Lynxen 2 Cowboy Bull Rider Imp, or as he's known on the channel, Jebediah. Honestly, one of my favorite plush in the line. He just looks really cool. I like how his outfit looks. His pants are the wrong color, but other than that, and aside from not having a gold tooth in his mouth, he looks pretty dang accurate. I really like how most of the imps look, and Jeb here is no exception. He just looks solid with the little cowboy boots, and the way how his shirt, the way how his vest and scarf look, he just looks slick. He looks really slick. Jebediah gets an S tier, and likely because if I didn't, he would probably get me for playing with Woody. Next is the Exploding Zombie, or the Bomb Zombie. I would knock him off some points for having a similar amount of armor similar to the Conehead Zombie, but I do like the accessory he's holding, the bomb. I also like the headband he's got, and I also like his little bun. Not a fan of the brown shirt here when his design is supposed to be blue, but otherwise looks pretty good. B tier. B for Boomer. Next up is the Lynxen 2 Hammer Zombie, who looks really, really good. I like how the design looks as a whole. I like how his outfit looks. I like how he's got the beard going for him, how he has a unique face exclusive to him and only him. The only thing he's missing is the chain around his chest. Otherwise, he just looks perfect. Like, no complaints from me. Otherwise, he might bonk me with his hammer. But yeah, he looks really good. Hammer Zombie gets the S. Here is the Swashbuckler Zombie from World Max, and yeah, this one is also really solid. I love his design. On the channel, he's known as Captain Bubblebeard because he blows out bubblegum at his opponents to get them all nice and stuck. The beard, though, is the wrong color. His pants are a little too clean for a pirate. The way how his belt looks also looks a little too bright. I'm not sure if he's supposed to have a scar on his eyeball or not. He still looks really nice. Yeah, he's a little inaccurate, sure, but he still looks pretty dang good. He's still gonna get knocked down for his inaccuracies, but not as badly as some of the others, like Cabin Boy Birdie, for example. B tier. Next is the Rodeo Zombie from Lynxen 2. On the channel, he's known as Jim. He's a promotional zombie, apparently. But when judging him to the promotional zombie as a whole, where are his cowboy boots? I do like the scarf, though. Also, his shirt's the wrong color, but otherwise, he does enough to make him stand out, but he doesn't look anything like his original counterpart. I'm gonna give Jim a C, because despite the inaccuracies, he still looks good enough to be original and to be unique on his own. Next up is the Lynxen 2 Football Zombie. On the channel, he is known as DS. I really like how the hair looks on this dude, and what I find interesting is where he originated from. I always said he originated from the game Iceman, but he's also from a bootleg flash and mobile game for Plants vs. Zombies, where he was a zombie seen in the game. He's also seen in other bootleg stuff regarding Plants vs. Zombies, and he's a reference to a Brazilian soccer player. And there are some issues with his design, like how there's no number 10 on his pants, how the shoes look and how they're not actually like football cleats. The 10 on his shirt is just kind of there and isn't the right color, and how his socks and headband don't have the green, just the yellow. He's still fine. Not really a fan of how his face looks, but DS gets a C because even though he's got a unique design, it's still not one of my favorites. Next is the Lynx & 2 Bikini Zombie, who looks alright. Not my favorite, definitely a unique design, but still not my favorite. Her outfit's missing the polka dots, her hair is supposed to be like a bun, but here it's just kind of a blob. But she still has a unique enough design, and I like how they use the same material for her body and for her feet to indicate that she is not wearing shoes, something that I feel like the Surfer Zombie could have taken notes on. C tier. Here's a football zombie, not sure what brand he is, but he's not from Jazzwares. This guy just showed up one day and he hasn't left ever since. The thing I don't like about this guy is just his lack of quality. Sure, he's got the shoulder pads, but I'm really not a fan of how floppy this arm looks and how out of proportion it looks, especially when compared to his other arm. Like, yeah, they're supposed to be the same length, just the way how it looks like a floppy wet noodle. His head also comes off with a magnet, but it's real hard to keep it on his body for some reason. And the helmet's also very easy to remove too, and tends to get itself lost when using the plush for video work or trying to display them. The clothes look good, it's just the design itself is just a little uncanny for my liking. D. Next is the Lynx & 2 Punk Zombie, better known on the channel as Dark Spud Potato, and he looks much better than the Punk Zomboss. I like how all the piercings look on the plush, even on the fabric itself. The piercings are embroidered into the plush and look really good. I like how the mohawk looks, I like how his jacket looks with all the little studs all over his body, I like how the choker looks. He's got a solid red shirt on. He's even got little spikes on his boots, which I think are pretty cute. Sure, they're missing a few details, and yeah, the jacket needs that big old white spot, but I like all the piercings all throughout his body. I feel like they really went above and beyond with all the piercings, which does save the plush a bit, but I'm still gonna knock him down a few points. A tier. Here's the fan favorite plush from Lynxen. It is Duckweed, also known as the Grass Skirt Zombie. He's also based off of the fan-made artwork that was made to replicate the game itself. He's one of a kind. Like, you can't get another zombie quite like Duckweed. I just like the way how he looks. I like how the grass skirt looks. I like how it looks on the plush. I like how he could probably like hide in the ground and pretend to be a plant, only to pop up, but it's Duckweed and he's, you know, Duckweed's just solid across the board. And I also like how the eyes look better on Duckweed than on the regular zombie plush. Very solid design. And Giga Duckweed gets the same ranking as regular Duckweed. There's not really much of a difference between the two, except for the size and for their butts. As for the Lynx & 2 Mini Duckweed, just looks kind of bleh. Duckweed, let me present to you the highest level of honor that I could possibly provide. S tier. And you too.
It doesn't feel right for me to give Duckweed the highest grade, so I'll give you, little E Duckweed, an F!
Next is the Lynxen Cowboy Zombie, also known on the channel as Hambone, and he looks fine, I guess. I like how the pants look, if I'm being honest, and he still looks like a cowboy at the end of the day, even if he looks way different compared to his design in-game. Like, his belt buckle's not there, he doesn't have any spurs on his cowboy boots, his bandana looks a little weird, and he doesn't have a shirt. But he still looks solid enough, but I am going to be knocking him down a few points. B tier. Here is Pete, the Lynxen 2 cowboy design, but I'm going to be knocking him down a few points because his shirt's closed in. I'm not a fan of the material used for his clothing when compared to Hambone, and I also like the boots on Hambone a lot more than Pete's. Pete's boots just look like regular shoes, they don't look like boots, you see. C tier. Also from Treehouse Brand / ThinkGeek, here is the Raw Zombie. I really love the detail on this dude, just how his headgear looks, his necklace, the bandages, how they actually look old and decrepit as opposed to the mummy zombies seen beforehand. I also really like his staff. It's a really nice little detail that I think really adds to the plush. No complaints from me, he just looks really good. I really love the detail on his headpiece. Raw does enjoy the sun, and sun starts with the letter S, so okay. Next up is the World Max / Treehouse / ThinkGeek / I don't care, it's a cowboy zombie. And compared to say Hambone or Pete, Slim here looks a lot better than the other two. Love how the bandana looks, love the belt buckle, love how the glove turned out, he just looks really nice. Sure, he's got a few minor hiccups here, like the other cowboys, he doesn't have any stubble on his chin. The right leg on the pants is a little inaccurate, and the boots are okay. At least they have the spurs though, so compared to the other two cowboys, he's definitely a breath of fresh air. A tier. Next up is the Peppy Girl Zombotany Zombies. This one is a repeater zombie, and he just looks really solid. I like how the head looks. This is the closest thing we're ever going to get to a repeater plush from Lynxen, and that's kind of sad to be honest. It does look like they slapped a repeater head onto a zombie, and it looks really good. There's also the Snow Pea Zombotany, which looks fine, and really my only complaint about the plush has to be the little leaf on the back of their heads. But if that's my only complaint, then you know you've got a solid design. Zombotanies land in the solid S tier. Avert your eyes, it be Captain Deadbeard. Captain Deadbeard here is a bootleg plush that looks really, really good actually. I like the detail that they put into this plush and how solid he looks across the board. I don't really have many complaints. Unlike say the Scientist zombie, this one is near perfect. I don't know why he looks so good or how he looks this good, but the bootleggers did a really good job with this one. No complaints. Captain Deadbeard gets an S. Next is the Lynxen Gargantuar plush, and he doesn't really look much like his in-game counterpart, but he does look like a big buff zombie, and unlike, say, Cabin Boy Birdie, at least he looks like he can pack a punch. And also, yeah, I know a little Munchkin Oompa Loompa dude here doesn't have any legs, but I honestly think that adds to his charm, and as the first larger zombie of the group that isn't, say, like Giga Duckweed over here, I say the Gargantuar looks pretty good. Not my favorite, and they've definitely improved the design since, but still good. Even though Gargantuar doesn't look like Gargantuar, and the imp doesn't look like an imp, I'd say they're still pretty solid on their own, and definitely better than, say, this dude, the bootlegged Gargantuar, who's always falling apart. His shirt is barely covering his body, his pants are always falling down, his head and arm are attachable and detachable via magnets, the telephone pole is nice, but it's falling apart, it looks really bad, and unlike, say, little Munchkin Oompa Loompa dude who I removed by myself with the seams, this one pops out by default, and it's just, I don't know, the way how the head and the body look, it just looks unproportionate as opposed to the other little Munchkin Oompa Loompa dude. This one's just very poorly constructed, and it looks like the magnets are about to come off the plush any day now, so this one is just not good. There's also the giant Gargantuar plush. On the show, he is known as Titan, and he wears shades. Not much to say about him, except he is a larger version of Arnold. I'm split between B or C, but because he doesn't look like a Gargantuar, I'm gonna give Arnold a C. Titan also gets a C.
What letter starts before the letter G?
Duh, I don't know.
It's F!
He's handsome, he's dashing, he's the sexiest zombie undead. He is Coney, better known as the Conehead zombie. The main thing I like about this guy is his face. It makes him stand out from the rest of the zombies because he uses a Jack-in-the-Box zombie face instead of the average Conehead zombie, making him stand out more. And it would be a crime for me to put him anywhere other than S. I mean, other than a few minor hiccups like a button shirt and the tie being incorrect and wearing shorts, it's Coney. Of course I'm gonna give him the S tier. Why wouldn't I? If I didn't, he'd probably pants me. Oh no, here he comes. E-Coney, on the other hand, is not going to get a high ranking. He still looks really dumb looking, but I don't know, he's not really that great. And he's not an F tier, but he's still not good.
Syntax error.
D. Next up is the Lynxen 2 Imp, or as I call him on the channel, Lobber, because he doesn't really look like an imp. The other imps are all able to get the face correct, but this one just looks like a regular zombie to an extent. But he doesn't, because his proportions look like an imp, except when you look at the face, it's like, oh god, you're not an imp, who the hell are you? In terms of design, he is unique, sure, but I'm just not a fan of how he looks. If not for him being known as Lobber and throwing exploding presents, I'd probably use him a lot less. He's just kinda ugly, and not in the cool or cute way, he's just ugly. Sorry, Lobber. D tier. Next up is the Imp from Jazzwares, fairly solid across the board. No real complaints here, I love how the mouth opens up. Not a fan of the plastic eyes, but that's just me in general, not just with this plush, but in general, I'm not a fan of plastic eyes on plush. It's not going to affect his ranking, it's just my personal thing. He still looks good, looks a little derpy, but that's kind of the point with the Imps. S tier. Next is this Lynxen 2 Pirate Zombie plush. Looks fine. I really like the scarf. It makes him stand out. And he has a gold tooth, but he doesn't have an earring, so there's that. And honestly, I do prefer the other Pirate Zombie design a little more. This one's fine, I guess. It's just he doesn't really have the same rough, rugged, piratey vibe the other ones do. I'm not saying he's bad, I'm just saying he's just alright. C tier. Hey, hey, hey! Now that's more like it! This is the World Max Pirate Zombie plush, and notice, unlike the one seen here, all the details are here. The scarf looks better detail on the boots, the bracelets here on his arm, I like the little patch on his jacket, I love the stripes on his pants, even the eyebrows stand out more. And he actually has an earring, unlike, say, this dude. For having the proper uniform, this pirate gets a higher rank. A tier. Next up is the Lynxen 2 Kung Fu World Qigong Zombie. I like the design for this dude a lot. I like the flowing white hair, I love the facial details, I like the belt, I like the material they used for his outfit of choice, I like the pose that he's in. He just looks really good. Giving him an S. Here is the Red Shirt Disco Zombie, or Red Shirt Dancing Zombie by Pippi Girl. Not too much different with this one that I haven't said about Disco. The glasses are an odd choice, but he's still good. Just like Disco, Retro here gets an A. Here we have the Relic Hunter Zombie, and he's a piece of work. Like, I like the mustache first of all, but in terms of design compared to how he looks in game, there's a lot to be desired. Like, where is his shirt? Why is it just this big white piece of material where there should be a shirt? His pants should be a little more torn up. His boots look better than most, but still not great. His bag is fine, but it tends to fall off quite a bit, and there's nothing inside of it anyway. Where the heck is his beard? He got the mustache right, but why not go with the full combo? I'm not going to give him a low ranking, but oh, never mind, there goes his bag again. Might reconsider. I'm going to be generous and give Reginald a C. Next up is the Tank Commander Zombie, also known as Battalion. This is a custom-made outfit made just for the show. And to the guy who made this, you know who you are. Thank you so much again. This was from a Jazzware Zombie that was remodified into the Tank Commander. He looks really good, especially for a custom. I like the detail on the outfit of choice saying tank on it. I like the different colored pants. The shoe is still colored incorrectly and not barefoot, but that's my problem, not necessarily the problem of the person who made the outfit of choice for the zombie. He still looks solid. The helmet's good, but the way how it looks, it makes it look more like a pilot's helmet, which isn't necessarily an issue with me personally, but in terms of the design and comparing him to the Tank Commander, I am going to have to dock a few points. I'm going to give him a B. B for Battalion.
Thanks.
Last of the bootleg plush from Mexico is the Dark Ages Gargantuar. This one looks fine, but the colors for his hood and shirt are inaccurate. They're supposed to be black, but they're actually blue here. He also has these little armbands for some reason. I'm not sure why. Maybe they're supposed to be the armbands seen on the actual zombie itself. The hammer looks fine, but it could definitely been better. I do like the little monk imp though on top of his back. I think the monk imp definitely saves this zombie. I do like the design, but I am gonna have to knock him down a few points. C tier. Next up is the Link's in 2 God of Wealth plush. I love the design of this dude. I especially love his outfit of choice and the detail on the coat. He looks like a big old orange though. I love his face and his helmet and the little scroll that he has in his hand. There's no zombie quite like him though, which I really do like. I like how unique he is. Even though, yeah, he is missing his cloud, his suit's the wrong color, and he does have a belt buckle. In game he doesn't, and he also is missing the cards in his belt. But he's just so unique that I'm gonna give him a pass for most of the minor hiccups. It just looks really good. S tier. Next up is the World Max Birthday Zombie, or Cake Zombie. One of my favorites of the group. Just like with the Jester Zombie, I love how colorful he is. Love the design as a whole, how he's like a birthday boy. He's ready to give the cake for the 2nd anniversary of Plants vs. Zombies 2. Just goes to show the age of the game as a whole. But I just really love how his design looks. He's one of a kind to me. Yeah, I know he's supposed to be the Jester Zombie, I know, but he just stands out so much from the Jester Zombie to the point where I'd say he's his own thing. And yeah, I know the cake's candle shouldn't be lit. He's missing his glove, yada yada. He looks good. I like this dude. S tier. Next up is the Linksin. Wait a minute, this isn't Dr. Zomboss. This is a Conehead zombie pretending to be Zomboss. Well, yes, but that's because Zomboss didn't have a plush at the time. And yeah, the lab coat fits like a glove, the pants are a little too big, and I really need to replace the paper on his head and instead sew on a unibrow for this poor dude. It's a look, and it's iconic at this point for the channel, but I can't really rank Zomboss that high. I really hate to do this, but I'm gonna have to give Zomboss a C. But once I replace his unibrow with an actual unibrow, then I'm gonna probably bump him up to either the A tier or the B tier. Whoa! Here is the Jazzwares Dr. Zomboss plush. Took him a while to make an actual Zomboss, but here he is. I like how the pants look, I like how the shoes look. I wish they gave him a unibrow, but honestly for what we got, he looks fine. But I even tried to replace the actual Zomboss with this dude, but you can't really replace the OG if I'm being honest. I do like the little buttons on his lab coat, and he looks good. His head's a little wobbly though. And again, I'm kind of a fan of my Zomboss a little more, but that's just my bias showing. B tier.
Thanks.
Next up is the Jazzwares Super Brains! Yes, Super Brains. No complaints here. He is absolute peak. He is perfection incarnate, and I have no complaints. He is one of the best zombies in the field, and he just looks fantastic. Super Brains flying into the S tier! Next is this custom-made Baron von Bats, who looks fairly solid across the board, aside from his mustache being the wrong color, and the little bat pin on the top of his hat's also colored incorrectly. Other than that, he looks really nice, and I feel it would be a disservice to put him anywhere other than the S tier. S tier. Next up is the Linson Hypnotized. Come on, you know what channel this is. It's Head Zombie. Everyone and their mother knows this is Head Zombie. Everyone calls him Head Zombie. You call him Head Zombie. I call him Head Zombie. It's Head Zombie. The thing I like about him that makes him unique is, yes, he's supposed to be a hypnotized zombie, but I went out of my way to make Head Zombie what he is today, and I'm honestly proud of how he turned out. Like, I look at other videos that say, oh look, there's Head Zombie, and I'm just like, I did that, and it just puts a big smile on my face, and for that I really do like the design of Head Zombie. Even if he's really just Norm but purple, I just love how he looks, and just how his head is a kind of different shape from Norm's. Norm's is more circular, whereas Head Zombie's is more oval shaped, kind of indicating that he's the bigger brain of the two, and yeah, I love how his colors work. Counterpart, Kaput, also looks really solid. The only difference here is the different colored button. Otherwise, they both look really good, and yeah, all the same inaccuracies of Head Zombie apply to the regular zombie as well, but I'm a little biased, and I do like Head Zombie. I love this dude's design, and he's just solid. S tier. Even though he's not a zombie, I forgot to include him in the plants video, so here he is. Here's Crazy Dave. No real complaints here about Crazy Dave either. I like how you can actually remove the pot on his head. Can't really mess up Crazy Dave's design that much. I also like the articulation in his arms. Crazy Dave gets S, but he's not a zombie, so let's just set him right here. Last but definitely not least is the Pippi Girl Harry Zombie, but better known on the channel and everywhere else as Ed. This is Ed. What can I say about Ed that hasn't been said already? He's got such a simple little design with his little hair and his blue shirt, white pants, but he's a fan favorite to many. I love voicing Ed. This little dude has come a long way on the channel, and I just love voicing Ed every single time. Is it time to make the donuts? It certainly is. Yay! It's time to make the donuts! Like with other zombies such as Buckethead or Pirate Zombie, he's able to be unique enough, but unlike those zombies, he truly is one of a kind. And that's what I really like about Ed, and like with Head Zombie, he's personal to me. A little bit of personal bias, I know, but hey, it's my list. S tier. So, these were all of my zombies ranked in my Plants vs. Zombies plush collection. Now for the Q&A section of the video. Where do you get the plush? The answer is eBay, but there's also Mercari, Amazon sometimes. There's also various auction sites as well. I also recommend checking out the Plants vs. Zombies plush wiki, as they've been a big help in making this video and determining the brands of the different types of plush. The wiki has lots of information about different plush and where you can buy them, and also has information not even I know about. I mean, a 4-leaf blover? You mean that actually exists? Another question is, what are your thoughts on PvZ3? When the game finally releases, again, I'm hoping that things will only look up and improve. I know a lot of people have mixed or negative thoughts on the game, but I'm looking for the best. I'm looking to the bright side. I'm hoping that the game will still turn out well at the end, you know? We'll have to wait and see what happens once the game releases. Again. Another question is, have you seen the animations on Laura Shigihara's channel? The answer is yes. I really love the one with the squash and sunflower in particular. I thought that one was really cute. But seeing her content made me realize that I gotta step my games up and step my chains up, which means bringing more PvZ content to you very nice people. I've been doing a little video work behind the scenes, mainly trying to get some filming stuff out of the way, doing a lot of stuff with Super Brains of all characters, maybe a potential new show, wink wink nudge nudge. Well, I've run out of stuff to say again, which is kinda common at the end of these videos, so until next time, this is Luigi Fan Quado 1 signing out, saying see you guys later, thanks for watching, and as always, have yourselves a fantastic day.
He does know he says fantastic because his name's Luigi Fan, right?
Shh.
Sorry.